we have a smaller group today. Okay, I'm going to send it over to Phil Spessart. He is our Division Director for Unemployment Insurance. So Phil, take it away.
All right, thank you, and good morning for joining us all here today on opening day for the Rockies today. So hopefully some of you will be able to get out and see that game, since now some individuals are able to actually be in the stands to cheer on their team. So other than that, I just want to give you a couple of updates today, mainly surrounding ID.me. Another issue that'll be of very strong importance this week are benefit year ending dates on claims, and finally on PUA related to quarter change and requirements at quarter change. So starting with ID.me, we are now going to start rolling this out for individuals not just filing new claims, but who are currently filing continued claims, in other words, certifications for payments on a weekly basis. Reason for this is we've seen an uptick in suspicious activity again lately within the system. And despite the fact that we have 58 different fraud holds as of today, fraudsters continue to be resilient, persistent, and continue to try to hit the system in any way that they can. So to best try to protect funds, both federal funds and state funds, out of here we will be moving forward with ID.me on individuals with continuing claims. We've already begun communicating with many of these claimants to give them an opportunity to start this verification process ahead of Sunday's payment request. Approximately 68,000 total claimants will be in this first grouping receiving this information about the need to go through ID.me and can start doing that as of today. Clarification we want to make sure everyone is aware of as they participate in ID.me is that when they are going through, there are a series of steps that must be completed. After step 6, which is uploading ID, you are not done. You have a series of steps to continue on. So do not get out of the system at the point after you've uploaded your selfie. You go ahead and follow through for the remaining total steps before you've completed it. Failure to do that, of course, obviously doesn't complete the process. You don't clear ID.me, you don't get paid through us as you clear ID.me. For assistance for claimants who might be wondering what this process looks like, we certainly have a new video posted at coloradoui.gov that will walk individuals through that system. Most claimants will be able to verify their identities via ID.me at any time of the day through the self-guided process on their smartphones or other devices, and it only takes about 15 minutes. There are other individuals who will not be able to complete that process. Last number we received from ID.me is roughly 15% of all claimants trying to go through the process are unsuccessful in being able to go through the self-guided process. As such, then those individuals end up needing to contact and go through the trusted referee process. Please make sure uploads are clear and selfies need to be taken in a well-lit space, or they will not upload successfully, which will then lead to those individuals having to go through the trusted referee process. Unfortunately, and some of you may have seen this over the weekend, there are long wait times for ID.me. They are growing rapidly. Other states have been coming on board and utilizing their services at this point in time. So we try to post when we thought the best times were to contact ID.me. However, right now, their wait times tend to be consistently lengthy at this point in time. And that's due to the high volume of fraud being experienced across the country and the need for the identity verification in those additional partner states. Please remember these video calls are conducted with an ID.me representative. These are not individuals with the department or with our conversion call center. We are constantly communicating with ID.me so that they can continue to improve the process for our customers, and we keep track of current caller volume and wait times in order to share necessary updates with claimants as they can, and as ID.me continues to onboard additional staff at this point in time. The added push to verify more identities helps us identify and prevent more fraudulent claims from going out and more fraudulent payments from going out. Individuals who should not complete ID.me, this is important here too. Do not complete ID.me if an individual has already verified your identity using ID.me, or if you are an individual who reported using our online form a fraudulent claim. If you decide you're going to go through ID.me after you have reported a fraudulent claim that we have closed down and you pass ID.me, then you're going to ultimately end up releasing payment on those claims. So again, if you have reported the fraudulent claim, do not go through ID.me at all. So a few other key points here today is we are coming up on the busiest period for these. We've discussed previously benefit year ending on claims. This week, starting today, marks the end of benefit year ending claims for all of those unemployment insurance claims in the state system that were initially filed effective April 5th of 2020. For those individuals who are trying to continue on PEUC, and if they're on PEUC or regular benefits at this time and just exhausted, they would be required to file a brand new unemployment insurance claim for this weekend before they would be able to continue receiving benefits through their PEUC. Quick reminder that last year, that week alone, we had 104,000 claims, so we anticipate a busy claim load with individuals filing those brand new state unemployment claims before they can continue on with their PEUC claims. Claimants can file their new claims by clicking the Apply for Standard UI Benefits button in the navigation menu on MyUI Plus. For our PUA claimants, these individuals every quarter are required to file a brand new state unemployment insurance claim. Reason for this is to ensure that they are not eligible for benefits in this state or any other state. If they are eligible for benefits in this state or any other state, they may no longer be allowed on PUA. So these claimants receiving PUA do not need to file a new claim when reaching their benefit year end date, but they do need to reapply for regular unemployment each quarter, as mentioned. Today, again, is the start of the new quarter, so all PUA claimants will need to reapply by selecting, again, the Apply for Standard UI Benefits in the navigation menu if they have not already done so. And we began notifying claimants about the approaching quarter change and benefit year end several weeks ago, and will continue to send out reminders via email and social media. And at this point, that is all I have on updates. Jessica, let me hand it back to you at this point in time before we take any questions.
Sure, I'm actually going to toss it over to Ryan Gedney, our senior economist, just for a high-level look at the numbers that we sent out this morning. Ryan?
Thanks, Jessica. Yeah, just a quick recap of what we sent out in today's press release. For regular UI, we estimate around 10,200 regular UI initial claims were filed. Again, these are estimates kind of based on lowering trends and activity, but due to fraudulent activity, we do have to estimate these claims. We also estimate PUA around 1,700 initial claims. Last week, the department paid out around 25 million to regular UI claimants. It had averaged around 30 million for the 3 or 4 weeks prior to that. For last week, about 178 million were paid out in total benefits. So that includes federal programs as well as FPUC. FPUC, we distributed around 85 million last week. If you look in the past year, since March 29th of 2020, when we started seeing the increase in benefit payments due to the pandemic, the department's paid out nearly 8.5 billion in total UI payments. That includes regular UI, the federal programs, FPUC, as well as LWA. We estimate that last week around 220,000 individuals requested payment last week, and that looks at regular UI, PUA, and PEUC combined. And then finally, borrowing is approaching $1 billion from our UI Trust Fund. It was 996 million as of yesterday. And with that, I'm happy to answer questions and pass it back on to Jessica.
Thanks, Ryan. We will get to the questions that I see coming into the chat, but before we do that, I'm going to send it over to Joe Barella, our Executive Director. Joe?
Thanks, Jessica. Thanks, Ryan, and thanks, Phil. Real quick, want to give an update on the guidance that we are getting as a result of several of the implications of the American Rescue Plan Act. This week, the IRS announced that some information on people, how to handle unemployment benefits up to $10,200. The Colorado Department of Revenue commented on that yesterday, and again, want to mention it would be helpful if everyone knew that they no longer, if they haven't filed their forms yet, need to pay federal income tax on the first $10,200 of unemployment insurance benefits for 2020. Those who have already filed with the IRS do not need to refile or make an amendment. the IRS announced yesterday that they will refund any additional payments automatically. And so wait for more information on clarity on that, but that is their intention. Those who have already filed their taxes do not need to file an amendment. The IRS will do that automatically. Again, those who have not filed yet in Colorado, our state does not allow for the exemption of that $10,200. You do need to add that into your income for 2020 for your state tax purposes. So we will put more clarification and resources for our Colorado unemployment insurance claimants on our website. And just want to let everyone know that if they don't know already, that the extension to file federal and state taxes has been extended now. So make sure that that's available. So with that, I think now Jessica is going to open up for questions to all of you. Good morning, everyone.
All right, thanks, Joe. Our first question is from Charles Ashby. He is asking about the wait times for ID.me and getting some complaints from folks who have used the trusted referee. And for that, I'm going to send it to Phil.
All right, so Charles, in these circumstances, again, if somebody has uploaded information and it was rejected for some reason, then they are required to go through the trusted referee process. Remember, again, about 15% of all claimants end up having to go through the trusted referee process at this point in time. So that individuals will still need to go through the trusted referee process. ID.me, again, as we said, has had growth in their incoming work related to additional partner states coming on. However, ID.me is also onboarding additional staff to try to reduce these wait times for individuals participating in the trusted referee process. They just onboarded some additional individuals this week, and they are scheduled to onboard additional folks again next week to try to assist. So again, that's also why we indicate if you have the capacity to upload the information through your smartphone, make sure everything's well lit, so that may avoid some of these issues with items being rejected. And I think this takes us clear down to Vicente Arenas on a question here, Jessica, which is, what do you tell people who say they cannot get their questions answered? One person has been trying to collect their money since February 9th. No answer for them so far. What do they do? Vicente, this is all going to depend on what the reason is for the hold on the claim. If it is due to ID.me or a program integrity hold, then they may need to go through ID.me. If they have not gone through ID.me, then that may be the issue. They can locate that on their claim themselves, looking to see what issues and determinations are to determine what may be holding up payment on the claim. So if it says it's an integrity hold, they would need to go through the ID.me process. Understand there are other issues that might be preventing payments on unemployment insurance claims. Some of these are issues of which we are aware and still working on a few program fixes to develop in order to be able to get out to fix some of these individuals that would be prior double dip claims from prior to December 27th of 2020 could be impacting it. There could be active issues pending on the claim that need to be processed and worked. So if there are acting issues, the individual needs to look and see if there's any fact finding that they need to complete, and they should complete that fact finding within the system so that individuals can process that for them.
Phil, I will just add for him, there's a 2-second wait time in the call center. So I'm not exactly sure what answers are not being provided, but certainly we'd encourage them to try and get through to our call center for resolution as well.
And it looks like Blair Miller has a question about folks refiling their claims coming up on their 1 year. So I'm going to send that one to Ryan.
Blair, I'll need to review USDL guidance, but I believe we will not consider those as initial claims. With the weekly data, we're looking for economic activity, and this is more administrative, but we could certainly follow up with you on that. And Phil, I don't know if you have any additional follow-up as well.
On that, I do not, Ryan, because I was going to pass that one off to you as a Ryan question. And then Jessica, I think I can take Tamara's next one. Do you have an update on fraud and the amount of payments that were blocked versus paid? Tamara, again, these are figures we are still looking at and still assembling that we need to provide to the OIG, which will be provided here sometime this month. As a quick reminder here, though, we keep indicating, and as you keep hearing, we have added additional fraud holds. There's reasons we add additional fraud holds. Again, those fraudsters are persistent. So although previously we've been able to tell you that we've only paid out $6.5 million on claims that are confirmed as fraudulent, we do unfortunately expect that that number will be increasing at some point in time here, and we do expect it will increase, and we will have higher numbers to report out on amount that was paid out. We would also be able to indicate that we have also prevented a higher amount of fraud through the use of those 58 holds, and as we continue to implement ID.me across the entire platform.
And if I have a second, I have the answer for you, Blair. So per USDOL, claims filed to establish new benefit years for these claimants. Again, we're talking about a large group of claimants from last year. These should not be included on our 2 weekly reports, which are used to inform what we publish within the press release each week. These are called transitional claims and are not included. So there's your answer, Blair. Thanks for asking. Good question.
And Jessica, I can take the next one from Charles, which asks if people continue to have problems with ID.me or they don't have computer access or a smartphone, can they go to a local work center to get this done? We are not referring individuals to workforce centers for assistance with ID.me, identification, verification, or issues. What we would have those individuals do is if they do not have the appropriate technology to complete the process, they should contact us at 303-536-5615.
Thanks, Phil. It looks like we have another question from Vicente. Phil has covered this just about ID.me, folks having issues with it. There are long wait times. Phil, is there anything else you'd like to add in terms of ID.me support?
Yeah, again, we would say that we're not necessarily happy with the response that ID.me has been able to provide to our customers at this point in time. In a perfect world, Vicente, we wouldn't even be having to send our claimants through ID.me this upcoming week or in previous weeks. Unfortunately, we're not in a perfect world anymore. We're in a world where fraudsters have found a golden opportunity with the creation of the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, and then have moved from trying to file fraudulent claims within that PUA system as we've tried to shut them down. They have tried to move to filing such claims within the regular state system at this point in time. So to best protect those funds, best protect innocent victims out there of identity theft, we are having everyone go through ID.me at this point in time. So it's vitally important to protecting items related to any funds that are paid out of the state claims. Those would end up coming out of the trust fund or borrowing against the trust fund, which then ultimately cost every employer in the state additional money if we don't prevent that from occurring and are unable to recoup those funds. So as many of you will be hearing in the next couple of weeks, employers are going to be notably antsy in the next few years related to what their premium rates are, just based on exactly where we are sitting within the trust fund at this point in time and within the borrowing that is occurring. So we owe those employers everything possible to try to prevent payments from going out on those types of claims. Just as we do in the PUA program, we also owe the federal taxpayers that ability to prevent as many of those fraudulent payments as possible. Unfortunately, it catches up some innocent people in that process, and it requires them some additional time to complete that process. We continue to work on a weekly basis on those fraud holds where we meet with a vendor multiple times a week to make adjustments to those fraud holds and discover any additional fraud holds that we need to place on. We have done that consistently throughout the process. And through part of that analysis, we sometimes find claims that we are able to release without individuals going through that entire ID.me process at that point in time. But again, moving forward, everyone will go through the ID.me process to receive payment of unemployment benefits.
Thanks, Phil. Looks like we have another question for you coming in from Tamara about the first group of claimants was $60,000. of 68,000 getting the ID.me links right now, does that take care of everyone who is currently eligible for payments this week? Or are there more than 68,000 of folks making continued claims who still need to be verified?
So Tamara, that's a good question. There will ultimately be more than 68,000 individuals that go through ID.me. We are also trying to work with ID.me to chunk things so that they're better able to address those, especially for individuals who may have to follow through on that trusted referee process. So we expect through the next month or so, we will continue to have people with continued claims that we will continue to invite to go through ID.me. But that 68,000 does not take care of all of them, but that is the first and the largest single chunk of individuals we will be sending through that on those continued claims.
And Phil, I would just add to Tamara's question, the concern is the low response rates for claimants through ID.me versus the total population that we've referred to ID.me. So our goal is try and catch up with those who filed new claims, or to Phil's point with the quarter change with PUA are filing now a new claim. And so the numbers are low enough that it does indicate there's a pretty significant amount of fraud coming through the system, which we will believe it will be addressed through ID.me and this new round.
And I'll follow up, Tamara. If someone hasn't been verified, will they see a hold on their account starting this week? Tamara, if we've invited these individuals to go through ID.me, so if it's part of this 68,000, when they try to file for benefits, if they have not gone through and been verified, they will not receive payment. They will still be able to certify, but they will not be able to receive payment until they have gone through and verified their identity with ID.me. So yes, it would set an issue that prevents payment on that claim.
Okay, do we have any other questions? I'm going to give it a few moments. Okay, it looks like this is from Tamara again. For Ryan, the number of continued PUSD claims continues to decline. Do you know if most claimants are returning to work or dropping out of unemployment?
So a lot of the the large spike in PEUC continued claims was due to backdating. Once the Continued Assistance Act, we were able to roll that out, and claimants were able to start requesting payment. So let me just look real quick at some of my PUC trends. Yeah, so we've seen a steady decline in PUC continued weeks claimed. For the week of the 20th, it was 98,000 continued weeks claimed. We saw large spikes on the week ending the 20th of 216,000. Again, one person can request multiple weeks. And so that's going to, when that phase 2 population was able to start requesting payments, that was all the way back to the week beginning, I think December 28th. And so you can see like big chunks in weeks there. So we've seen since the phase 1 and phase 2 rollouts have a longer time has passed, we've seen those continued weeks gradually decline, but it's still pretty elevated. When you consider where we were in December, PEUC was averaging around 70 to 80,000 continued weeks claimed per week. So those levels are still elevated compared to where we were in November, December, late winter of last year. You can also view those kind of trends I'm talking about within that PDF we attach in the weekly press release.
All right, and then Ryan, I see we have a new question from Blair Miller asking, so I can take this one. Blair asks, is there any lag time between when ID.me verification is made and when payments can be made? Good question, Blair. This is part of the reason why we're sending out those emails to that 68,000 individuals coming up to certify for the week for payment at this point in time. So individuals going through ID.me, if they successfully pass, ID.me passes us a file every night for those that have successfully passed, but it could take between 24 and 48 hours before those clear. There will be a group of individuals who might pass through ID.me. However, they may also have a hold type on their claim, and if there's an egregious fraud hold on their claim, I won't go over that list of what it is here. Those individuals would require additional verification that would happen from our staff. But the vast majority of people who pass through there successfully should be able to see payment released within 24 to 48 hours.
And sorry, let me just add one more point to what I was saying. Additionally, when I talk about continued weeks, that can be distorted given the different rollouts we had and number of weeks someone can claim within a given week. That's why we added in the press release that statement about how many individuals we estimate are requesting payment. And we also have an accompanying chart with that. And so with PEUC, since from the week ending February 27th to the week ending March 27th, so that's a 5-week span, the number of individuals has ranged between like 75,000 and 79,000. So that's been pretty consistent as well. But that's also another good resource to look at when you're looking at how many individuals are requesting payment in a given week, rather than just the number of weeks claimed themselves.
Okay, we've covered all of the questions coming in through chat. If there's anything else anyone wants to ask before we sign off, we'll give you a few seconds to do so. But it looks like we are all wrapped up. So Charles Aspie is asking for county by county numbers.
Yeah, Charles, the story remains the same. Due to fraud, I really just don't anticipate that we'll be able to publish county by county numbers. We're not able to adjust it at that level. At top level, I can adjust it, but county by county, it's not possible. It's not feasible. So like I recommended a few weeks ago or even a month ago, yeah, you could tell your editor that. No, that I would rely on the monthly data that we release now. It's all been benchmarked from last year. We're at a new starting point here, and looking at those unemployment estimates that we have, total unemployment, as well as the employment numbers from our local area unemployment statistics program, or LAUS, as well as the CES numbers for Grand Junction. Of course, we do have the monthly payroll job numbers for that metropolitan statistical area. So at this point, this is all I can recommend for you, Charles. Sorry.
All right, everyone, I think we are good to wrap up. Thanks for joining us today. Have a good one.